Hey, Steve. So we are back for part two of a four-part series that has to do with confidence, convictions, and creativity, and how this can lead to what we're calling the momentum method.
Yep. And if you're wondering what the momentum method is, if you didn't catch the intro in the last podcast, it's about creating more movement, more motion, more urgency in the things that you do with real conviction.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. So more on that in a moment. But first,
hello, I'm Steve.
And I'm Eric. And together we are two dads with one mission.
Welcome to the 𝗙𝗃𝗔𝗻𝗀 podcast. This is the show for dads, all about fatherhood, faith, and freedom, one conversation at a time. Hey, Eric, so the first element in this momentum method, as we've spoken about, there's three elements. You know, the first one is confidence, which is going to be the topic of today, and then conviction and creativity. But, you know, confidence for me is about having a direction. It's almost like knowing where it is you want to go. I know you and I offline a moment ago, you had this GPS kind of metaphor, and I really like that. Perhaps you want to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, so the idea is, you know, we are all so accustomed to having GPS on our, you know, what, 10, 15 years ago, it was cool to have like a dedicated GPS device, you know, that was the new thing. And then of course now it's all on our cell phones. But the point is that no one's really looking at physical maps anymore, which was great, but it still didn't allow you to move really fast and efficient because, you know, to look at a map, you kind of had to stop and, you know, that kind of thing. It was great, but it wasn't nearly as good as turn by turn directions that's speaking to you from your phone. And, you know, you can just focus on driving and you can drive more efficiently or fast. You can really move with confidence because you know where you're going.
Yeah.
You know, and so imagine today if you needed to take a trip somewhere and you had a vague idea of where you were going, but your phone wasn't working and you didn't have a physical map and that kind of thing, you would be driving kind of slow, kind of hit and miss, you know, having to take the time to look at street signs or look for landmarks, or, you know, be kind of hunting and pecking your way through trying to get where you're going. You know, it'd be kind of the antithesis of confidence.
Yeah.
Right. You'd be feeling your way there, you know, as opposed to, you know, in a quarter of a mile, turn left. Right. And like, it's just speaking at you, telling you exactly, and you can just drive and focus on that and be confident. So,
yeah. And I think that's a real good point there that you raise. And I think for me, it's almost like the difference between confidence and you know, not being confident is certainty. It's like when you have a GPS or a sat nav, as we call them, you know, this side of the pond, you know, you've got some certainty when you know exactly where it is you're going to go, and you know the navigation system is going to get you there. You've got certainty, and I think those two things go arm in arm. Confidence comes from being certain about the thing that it is you're going after. So I guess today's episode is not just about confidence. It's about, you know, how do you create more certainty so that you can become confident. And it's about knowing. So, you know, for me, the first thing you got to do is you got to set that direction. You've got to know, right, where is it? What's my outcome? What's my goal? What is it I'm trying to achieve? Because without that, you're going to be endlessly walking around,
right,
you know, hopeful that you're going to get to your destination, even though you don't know what your destination is. So you've got to create some certainty about exactly what it is you're after. And I know we've covered a little bit about confidence on a very early episode that we did. So, you know, it's worth recapping those and maybe go rewind if you didn't listen to that episode. But again, I just want to share, I think something I may have shared on the episode. It's about, it's kind of a confidence stroke certainty exercise. You know, and it begs repeating. So you want to go after the thing that you want to do, because this whole momentum method is about, well, creating more momentum, more motion, more movement in your life so that you can go after the things you want to do, or the things that you want, with so much conviction and energy and acceleration about them that it just happens for you. And the first thing that you need to do is part of this confidence element is be absolutely certain what it is you want. But what is certainty? How am I going to be confident? It's almost like, in front of you now, as you're listening or maybe watching our video podcast, there's probably something in front of you. I've got a cup, for example. I made a nice cup of green tea earlier. So I've got a cup in front of me, and it's about, right, how certain am I that that cup, how confident am I that that cup is going to be there in the next 10 minutes? I'm really confident about it. I know it's going to be there in the next 10 minutes because we'll still be recording it. But how confident and certain am I going to be that it's going to be there in an hour? How confident and certain am I going to be that it's going to be there in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months? And the more time that elapses, the less confident I'm going to be, because it's a cup that I've probably got to take and wash up at some stage. So I'm not that confident it's going to be there in a couple of hours' time, never mind a week's time.
Yeah, right.
But again, you could look out of your window and maybe there's a piece of vegetation, maybe a big tree that's been there for 100 years. And how confident are you that as you look out of your window, wherever you are, that tree is going to be there tomorrow, next week, next month? You could be pretty confident about that.
Yeah. That tree has been very consistent over the years.
Exactly. But how confident are you going to be that it'll be there in 1,000 years' time? Probably less confident. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, once you've set your destination, you've put your location in your GPS, and you've set your destination about the thing that you want to achieve, then it's about getting that confidence. So confidence is like how confident are you going to be that that item around you is going to be there in an hour's time? And that's what you need. You need that inner sense, almost like your inner navigation system telling you that I'm so confident. It doesn't matter whether 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months pass. I'm so confident about that outcome.
Yep.
We're almost moving into the second element here, but I don't want to jump the gun. It's like, I've got some real conviction about that. That's how confident and certain I am that this is something that I'm going to go for.
But that's a good teaser, right? Because we are arguing that confidence leads to convictions. So yes, we're not going into the topic of convictions, but that's where confidence leads.
Yeah.
And that's why. So a couple of things based upon what you've said. You touched on it, the internal navigation system. Let's break that down a little bit. I think there's an opportunity. What does that mean to have, like, if we could have an internal GPS in our mind, what would that look like? Well, I think it comes from having a purpose in life, having a vision for your life, and having some goals, right? That's what it'll point to where you're going, so that you're not just kind of guessing or just letting life happen to you. You have a specific purpose that you're heading toward. And
more simply said, Eric, you got to set that destination.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I just think that can't be really overstressed. You have to, we talk a lot, really throughout a lot of our episodes about values and purpose and that kind of thing. And it just can't be overstated, because if you don't have those things, you don't have an internal GPS. Yeah. You just have random thoughts and ideas floating around in your head, but life's kind of just happening to you. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah. And I guess the second point worth mentioning as well is, even though you've got a destination set, is just like a GPS, sometimes there's going to be roadblocks, or there's going to be congestion ahead. Yeah. So you might not necessarily, get there in one clean kind of movement. Yeah. And this is also about knowing and having this confidence and certainty about, look, if something goes wrong, I'm going to figure out a way around that. So you're not always going to get it right first time. There's going to be some failings along the way.
Yeah, and just like a car could run out of gas or break down, sometimes we just have things, we just run out of energy, or we have something happen in our life that just derails us. But if our vision and our purpose is clear, right, it allows us to get back on track. Maybe we take this big detour in life, right? But that vision and purpose allows us to get back on track, whatever the case may be. So anything else we want to say about, I don't know that we need to belabor the point. There's you know, there's so much good information on how to develop confidence in life. You know, just a simple internet search or a YouTube search will reveal lots of good things. You know, we're not trying to, you know, present the be all end all of how to be confident here, but yeah, I think the root of it is in knowing your values and having a you know, have you written down your purpose in life? You know, that's a great place to start, because that can be kind of, it can be kind of a mix of broad statements and maybe some specific things that you want to achieve, you know, and then that becomes kind of a guiding light, and then you can narrow it down and have a specific mission, or you know, that aligns with your values, those kinds of things. So all those lead to confidence ultimately.
Yeah, one other area I'd love to just recap. Again, I know we've covered this probably many episodes, because it's quite important in terms of our value system, you know, to us. But it begs repeating here. It's about, you know, when you've figured out your destination, you've dialed that destination in. It's about being authentic as well. So there is a lot to be said to being authentic to you. Okay. Yeah. Because a lot of people try to be something that they're not, or try to emulate somebody that they're not. And let me tell you now, no matter who you're trying to emulate or pretend to be, you know, even on a bad day, you'll never be as good as them. But even on the worst day you can imagine, you'll wake up and be the best version of you.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much truth in that.
Okay. So again, you know, for me, confidence comes from that being authentic, because I think there's a part of us, probably not at a conscious level, but a part of us that would hold us back from being confident if we're trying to be less authentic. So in other words, trying to be somebody in life that isn't really us. So, you know, I know I've been there. I've pretended to be somebody I wasn't for a long period of time in my life. And, you know, now, you know, it's just authentic Steve. And, you know, I don't always get it right. I fail more often than not, but it's being authentic and picking myself up, dusting myself off, and thinking about, right, what can I learn from that? The learning of which will allow me authentically to move, you know, one step closer to that destination that I've dialed in. So with great confidence, I think comes real authenticity as well, being authentic to who you truly are.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I think having said that, you know, we've alluded to how this leads to convictions, and in the next episode, we're going to get into that in a much deeper way. So we hope that you will subscribe and pick up these episodes and follow us through this series of 4 as we describe this, what we're calling the momentum method. So where can people find out more about us, Steve?
Yeah, the usual place. Just open your favorite browser and just type in idads.com. That'll take you to our landing page, where you'll be able to contact us and find all the various resources which we have available to you.
Perfect. And hey, if you've gotten some value out of this, you know, whether you're listening or watching, please share it with a friend or a family member, or, you know, maybe a coworker or something. You know, a lot of people lack confidence, and I think that, you know, this could help them. So we would appreciate it. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, you know, find us on your favorite podcast platform, and we appreciate you being here.
Yep, and we'll see you on the next episode.
All right, take care.